right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 31st day of August, 2021. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see the screen I have up, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. It also gives you access to the chat box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. On the days you're out of your office, away from your desktop, point any internet-connected browser to cfrn.net/live, and there you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds. You just won't have access to the chat box. We also stream live each day during the show on our YouTube channel. It's easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live during the show, but we archive each and every daily show on our YouTube channel. Currently, we have over 1,800 daily live broadcasts archived there for your educational and viewing pleasure. With that, we'll open with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings, for your mercy, for your grace. God, we pray for every person, every home, every family, every business that has been affected by this storm and storms to come. We pray for the people of Afghanistan and all of our Americans and American families that have been affected by this tragedy and will be affected by things to come. We know, God, that you are the giver of all good things, including peace. Yet even amid peaceful times, some seek to cause upheaval and war on the earth. Therefore, we ask that you allow the peace on earth to endure through the schemes of these wicked people. Give us hope in the establishment of your kingdom. Let your peace that surpasses all understanding keep all the earth in Christ. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, guys, happy Tuesday. Hope it is a happy Tuesday for you, wherever you may be. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. These are the cash markets, the indices, as they're called. Starting here in the U.S., the Dow is currently up 45 points. The NASDAQ is down 12 points. S&P 500 is up just over 1 point. And the Russell 2000 is up 6 points. So some pretty quiet and narrow trade. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 32 cents, trading 68.89 last. Gold down $2.20, trading 18.10 last. Silver down 9 cents, trading 23.91 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain of 300 points. The Shanghai rose 15 points. The Hang Seng added 339 points. Now for the Nikkei, that's a gain of a little over 1%. And for the Hang Seng, that's a gain of over 1.25%. And in the European markets, it's a market of a different color. The FTSE down 28 points at the close. The DAX down 52. The CAC down 7. Again, more very quiet and narrow trade. That gives us a green day in Asia, a red day in the UK, and it is a mixed Radio Tuesday here in the US of A. Again, the NASDAQ, the only one in the red, down 12 points. The S&P up only 1. The Russell up only 6, and the Dow up only 45. So with that, we'll go to Michael and get a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll come back. We'll look at the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and of course, at any point during the broadcast, if you have a question, just put it in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer it for you. So, Michael, if you're ready, you can take it away. All right, I see your screen. I see your charts.
Excellent. Here we go.
It's all yours.
Thank you. All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 31st and last day of August 2021. Woohoo! You know what that means? Next quarter. All right. So, what, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at cfrn.net. And all you have to do is scroll down to where it says free 5-day trial, no credit card required, and click on that. It's going to bring you to this page, eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. All right. Once you do that, you are going to have to hit the send link, the send button right here. Once you hit the send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. And on that, you have to confirm. If you don't do that, we don't know that you took the free trial, so you got to make sure you do that. Okay, so the spreadsheet. Now, if you can read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. All right. Today, as I said, is the 31st and last day of August 2021. Today, I didn't want to do it at the beginning of the session. I didn't want to make it a thing, but it ended up being a thing at the end of the session. And what I mean is hitting $100,000 per contract today. We got to $100,000, $2.50. So you can tell it became a thing. But we made 5 ticks in crude, 45 ticks in gold, and 4 ticks on the ES. Put us at plus 550 on the morning session. And today it took 16 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $180 a contract, and we took a total of 16 trades this morning. Okay, so on the month, we're going to end the month actually with $7,810 a contract. That's over 21 trading days, averaging $371 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We've now gone 166 out of 168 days this year, getting our goal. And that puts us at $100,002.50. That's over 168 trading days, averaging $595 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Now, that puts us this morning's goal was, it happened, it took a little longer. It took 16 minutes and 3 trades, but we're $180 a contract also. So that bumped this number up pretty good. But it did make us have to work a little longer. We're now at 46.5 hours of getting our goal on the year and averaging $1,967.14 per hour during those 46.5 hours. All right. So let's get into what we did and didn't do. And we're just going to start out with gold. Okay. Now, gold for the most part was doing what it should do. We did stop out a couple of times. Most of our trades were in gold, so I'll go through gold first. All right. So we started out right here. There was a big move up, then another big move up, And then we jumped on this little move right here. Our first trade on gold was just a couple of ticks. Our next trade was right here. We picked up 6 more to get us to +8. Then I was suggesting it would get up to here, and it did. Then we stopped out pretty much to the tick on this one. But we got it back over here. Okay, so after stopping out, we were back down to 0. Then we got 11 ticks on this one. And on this one right here, we only managed to get 5 more ticks. Okay, this was a good move down, but it was really fast when it got down here. Then it whipped around. I missed a trade there. And this one here, I got, and I just held on to it for a while because you see how it got all flat right in here? I was thinking it was going to get flat again, like right in here where we stopped out to the tick. So I was telling everybody about all these things as they were happening, but I was just kind of secretly holding on to this one as it was going down. And yeah, we had like momentum short trade right here where the MA1 stayed the right color. Where the MA1 stayed the right color, and the cycle was the wrong color, but the MA1 stayed the right color. And we had another one right there, same thing, another one right there, another one right there, another one right there. And finally, when it got way down here, I just had to take, I had to lock in profit. And so I locked in 30 ticks on that, and that put us at +46. All right, then we had a break-even trade here, and I was trying to go through some stuff this morning, so I ended up missing all these trades that were doing pretty much everything that I thought they were going to do. And we had, look at this head and shoulder pattern right here. This was building the other shoulder, and I didn't want to take this bounce off the BBC, even though it was the highest probability trade, because I wanted to see more of a trend. Then we finally got more of a trend, and I missed this trade right here. This was a very high probability trade. You see how the MA1, I don't know, Ryan, are you in here right now? No, Ryan's not in here. Okay, but the MA1 didn't change color or even slope really on the pullback. So that's a really high probability trade right there. Then I took this one down here, and I didn't move my stop fast enough. It did go 4 ticks into profit. It was a momentum short trade. I didn't move my stop fast enough. It stopped me out. So then my quest to get to magical number of $550 a contract started over again. I ended up with a break even there and a break even there. And then as we started getting toward the end of the session, I thought this was going to be the one, the magic bullet here, because it was our highest probability trade with the bounce off the BBC. The MA1's the right color, the cycle's the right color, but I only got 5 ticks out of that one. And then I got 2 out of the one after it. And that put me at +45 on the morning session. But I think the 2 right there is, the 2 right there, that might have been what did it for me, those last 2 right there. I'm not exactly sure about that. But then the morning, I mean, it kept going on even though I didn't want to trade anymore because we only had a couple of minutes left anyway. But we had another one right here that was almost the highest probability trade. It bounced off the BBC, a nice bullish separation. That worked out really well. This one right here, very high probability trade. The MA1 stayed the right color. The cycle was the right color. Momentum long trade. Worked out okay. Then we get into the break. And there was a whole lot of flat stuff here during the break. No trades. Then right over there, we didn't have anything. Okay, so that was gold. And we had most of the trades were on gold today. Okay, on crude, let's see, we had our first trade on crude was right in here. It was a bounce off the BBC, and this first one was the highest probability trade right here. All right, but then it pulled back and it gave a YBR trade to go along with the bounce off the BBC if you missed the first one. But on this bounce off the BBC, the cycle had changed. I mean, the MA1 had changed color. The cycle was still good. But anyway, we got in on the first one and we picked up 10 ticks on that. Then the very next one right here, we stopped out on. I should have moved my stop to break even. That was my fault that I stopped out on that. So I had 2 stop outs today that were my fault because I didn't move my stop to break even fast enough. I missed this one, which looks like it was probably a good thing. So, I stopped out on that one by accident, and I would have stopped out on that one that I missed. So kind of equals itself out there. I missed this long trade here that would have been a nice profitable trade. And that one, again, the MA1 stayed the right color on the up close. This one I ended up with a break even on. I had a chance to take some profit, but I didn't. Then over here, this was toward the end of the session, and we picked up 5 ticks on this, I think. Yeah, because I stopped out. After we made 10, I stopped out, so we're back down to +2. No, I made 3 ticks on this. This got us to +5 on crude. Okay, and then during the break, let's see, we needed to break out of this chop right here. We sort of did right there. Yeah, the black step lines were right all over the BBC, so I wouldn't have done that. I don't think I'd have done any of this stuff in here. Okay, during the break. And let's see, over here on the ES now. The ES was kind of a dog today. We started out right in here inside the weekly trading zone, and that was making crude kind of a mess, but gold was moving around, so we had something to do. But anyway, we broke out of it, and we had a bounce off the BBC right here below the trend line, and we took 4 ticks profit on that. It actually gave quite a bit more than 4 ticks, and I took the 4 ticks way over here. Now, it had gone quite a bit further than 4 ticks, but I had stepped away for a minute, and I ended up taking the 4 ticks right there. Okay, then everything went right back up into the weekly trading zone, didn't give a trade setup. Then there was a short right here that would have worked out to be a break even for me had I taken it. It should have been something here that should have been a break even trade had I taken it. And then we started getting all the way over here with more garbage and nothing to do with the ES. And that's pretty much the way that it wound up. There was just nothing that I would have done in here. You were in a range right here, and even this bounce off the BBC right here, you didn't have a trend. So acquiring step number 1 was difficult in that area. Now back to the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we made 5 ticks in crude, 45 ticks in gold, and 4 ticks on the ES. Put us at plus 550 on the morning session. Today it took 16 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $180 a contract, and we took a total of 16 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're at 7,810. That's over 21 trading days, averaging $371 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year, we're at 166 out of 168 possible days of getting the goal, and that puts us at $100,002.50. So we're way ahead of where we were last year at this time. And let's see. That's over 168 trading days, so we're averaging $595 per contract per 2-hour trading day. If you were to quit when you got your goal for the day and added 1 contract per month, you'd have worked 46.5 hours, and your average hourly rate at this point in the year would be $1,967 per hour. All right, let's go back to here. If you've not taken a free trial with us, you can go directly here to eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all that we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial. And yeah, Mike, I just barely broke it. But that's it. With that, guys, we can wrap it back up. Send it out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Yeah, the last time the 100K was in December, right before I went into the ICU, was when I did it last year. So we're well ahead of last year. Could have set a new goal for myself now. We have September, October, November, December. We have 4 months left. So a goal that is probably achievable, but will still be a challenge, would be to get to 150 by the end of the year. So we'll see how that works out.
Good job, Michael.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, recap of the recap.
Today it took 16 minutes and 3 trades to get to $180 a contract.
Good job. So I might have mentioned this yesterday on the show. I think I did. I'm not sure. But Sunday night, I put out a trade. It was actually a trade that could have gone either way, so there was the potential for two-sided action. I left the video running overnight, and we ended up with, I think it was a 10 or an 11 hour video. And I've now managed to reduce it down to an hour, and I've still got to do some final editing. But in the beginning, before I fell asleep, I popped in and out about every half hour or so with a little bit of commentary explaining what was happening. And so all of the dead space, I've edited that out, and so I've turned a 10-hour video into a 1-hour video, but Valerie and I are going to attack it this afternoon and hopefully get it down to about a 15 to 20 minute video. And I think those of you who choose to watch it, and really, you know, you don't have to hang on my every word. I'm not saying anything you haven't heard before. So I think even if we get it down to 15 minutes, you'll still be able to fast forward through it and sort of get a feel for what a bigger picture type trade looks like. So as soon as that's available, I'll make it available first to all the members in the members discussion group in Telegram, and then of course eventually we'll make it public. So tell me again the recap.
Today it was 16 minutes and 3 trades to get to $180 a contract.
Okay.
Yep.
And again, good job.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. We'll hit a few headlines first. Valerie's still working on the recap. The last U.S. military plane left Kabul yesterday, ending a 20-year presence in Afghanistan and the longest war in U.S. history. The aircraft carried all U.S. troops and diplomats who remained in the country as the deadline for the U.S. withdrawal arrived. U.S. Central Command Major General Christopher Donahue, who's the commander of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division, said, "I'm here to announce the completion of our withdrawal from Afghanistan. If we still have any Americans, even one, on Afghani soil that doesn't want to be on Afghani soil, I would say the withdrawal is not really complete. Not to disagree with a major general, but moving on, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the U.S. diplomatic mission to Afghanistan would continue working from Qatar on its relentless efforts to help Americans, foreign nationals, and Afghans who are at risk under Taliban rule to leave." Oh, and Valerie just notified me that what I thought I had whittled down to 1 hour, to 1 hour, is actually now from 10 hours to 2 hours. So Val, I'll go back in this afternoon. I'll work on it again, and a lot of it is just, I mean, there's nothing happening because it's the middle of the night. So all of that, dead time, we can just whack that right out. Former Hurricane Ida was downgraded to a tropical depression yesterday as it moved inland, crossing Mississippi with top sustained winds of 35 miles per hour after crashing into the Louisiana coast with winds as high as 150 miles per hour. Ida knocked out power to more than 1 million homes and businesses, including all of New Orleans, and sadly has left 2 people dead that we know of. The storm hit oddly on the anniversary of 2005's Hurricane Katrina. Officials said New Orleans was better prepared this time, partly due to the lessons learned from the devastation of Katrina. One person drowned in his car after trying to drive through flooding on Interstate 10 in New Orleans. Some areas could be without power for 6 weeks after what the governor called one of the strongest storms to make landfall in modern times. That happens here even in Phoenix in the desert. We do have low-lying areas, and when we get our monsoon rain and you drive up to one of these low-lying areas, it looks like a shallow puddle of water. And even though people have been warned, and there's usually signs, do not cross when flooded, but it looks like such a shallow puddle of water, people just keep driving slowly perhaps, but then the next thing you know, they got water up above their door level in the desert. It happens, and they climb out their window and sit on top of their car, and hopefully somebody comes to rescue them soon. But every year it happens again, just like we have children drowning in swimming pools. If you've ever flown into Phoenix, Arizona, on the approach. All these little blue-green dots you see everywhere. It looks like every house in Phoenix has a swimming pool, but I assure you, we don't all have swimming pools. Now, yesterday, I mentioned this, and it looks like it might be true. The Defense Department yesterday acknowledged the possibility that civilians were killed in a U.S. military drone strike against suspected Islamic State Khorasan suicide bombers believed to be targeting the Kabul airport. Survivors and neighbors said the strike killed 10 people, including 7 children, a U.S. military contractor, and a worker for an American aid group. The daughter of the aid worker said, "At first I thought it was the Taliban, but the Americans themselves did it." New York Times journalists, which we hold suspect, at the scene were unable to confirm the family's reports. A spokesman said the Pentagon was not in a position to dispute the report, but added that any civilian casualties were due to the explosives that were in the vehicle, not the drone strike itself. Hey, who are we to pass the buck? The Education Department on Monday opened civil rights investigations into attempts by Republican governors in 5 states to bar school districts from imposing mask mandates. The department sent letters announcing the policy to education officials in Iowa, South Carolina, Utah, Oklahoma, and Tennessee, informing them that their bans on local district mask mandates might be preventing the districts from meeting the needs of students with disabilities who face elevated risk of severe illness from coronavirus infections. The Education Department did not start investigations into similar policies in Florida, Texas, Arkansas, or Arizona, which have also tried to prevent mandates but have been blocked by courts or other state actions. And I don't know how many of you have ever been to Lake Tahoe. It sits on the California-Nevada border. In fact, there's a hotel, or used to be that hotel, called Cal Neva Lodge. Back in the day, it's where the mobsters would hang out, the Al Capones, the Bugsy Siegels, and yes, it was even rumored that that's where Jack, or John as we call him, Kennedy, and his brother Robert used to go with Marilyn to have their little getaways, their little parties, and some of the cabanas there around the lake. We have no proof, but they say there is. But the reason I even bring it up, California authorities yesterday evacuated all 22,000 residents of South Lake Tahoe due to the threat of the fast-spreading Caldor fire, as fire risk forced national forests in the state to close. Residents also had to flee the surrounding areas along the lake's west and south shores. The wildfire has been edging closer to the Lake Tahoe area for 2 weeks. Nearly 30,000 residents had already been told to leave the eastern half of El Dorado County. Tom Porter, director of CAL FIRE, said the fire exploded on Sunday, growing by more than 20,000 acres after an inversion layer lifted. When air clears, it's taking the lid off your pot of boiling water. All of a sudden, there's that plume of heat and steam that comes pouring out. Truly one of the most beautiful places I've ever traveled to, and I've been a few places. So our prayers are with all the people of Lake Tahoe. Ohio woman, a suburban Cincinnati woman, on Monday won a court order for a hospital to treat her husband's COVID-19 infection with ivermectin, which is an anti-parasitic treatment commonly used for livestock. The case is one of several nationwide in which people are trying to force doctors to use the drug, which has not yet been officially proven effective against COVID-19, although many people who have used it have reported excellent results. Julie Smith asked Butler County Common Pleas Court for an emergency order to treat her husband, who's 51 years old, with ivermectin. The FDA and the Centers for Disease Control have not recommended ivermectin for people infected with coronavirus. Smith had found a doctor to prescribe the drug, but the hospital refused to administer it. Our prayers are with her. If she and her husband are in agreement that that is what they feel is the best treatment, what's the saying? My body, my decision. Where's that here? Texas abortion providers on Monday asked the Supreme Court to block a state law seeking to ban abortions in the state as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. The law, which is scheduled to take effect on Wednesday, would let individuals sue any abortion provider and largely end access to abortion in the state. In less than 2 days, Texas politicians will have effectively overturned Roe v. Wade, said Nancy Northup, president of the Center for Reproductive Rights, which represents the abortion providers and other groups. The Texas law bars abortion once embryonic cardiac activity can be detected, which is typically around the 6-week mark. Supreme Court precedent prohibits states from banning abortion before fetal viability, typically at about 22 to 24 weeks. Our prayers are with those folks. Giuliani's communications director has left the job as legal problems mount. She said she was proud of the accomplishments that they'd achieved, including the launch of Giuliani's podcast. She said she was moving on to work for a rising tech startup. Her departure comes as Giuliani is being targeted in a federal investigation into his foreign lobbying work. His law licenses have been suspended as he faces legal problems linked to his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Ida has nudged oil and gasoline prices higher, and the EU has recommended banning non-essential travel by unvaccinated Americans. So if you want to go to Europe, forget about it. They just don't want us there right now. And in the world of tech, embattled Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes is about to go on trial for fraud. Now, this is a most excellent podcast. I probably listened to this 2 years ago. I think the name of the podcast is Dropout. There was a lady, Elizabeth Holmes, very, very smart lady. She created a company called Theranos that claimed with 1 drop of your blood, they could put it on a glass slide, put it in this machine, and it could diagnose you for a large number of potential diseases and life-threatening issues. I want to say 15, I want to say 20, I might even want to say 50. Now, medical fraud has been around for a long time, but never on this scale. You really should listen to this podcast. Her name is Elizabeth Holmes. The company was Theranos. Now, not only did the company get a patent, not only did the company go public, but you could actually go to Walgreens or CVS, provide a blood sample, and it would spit out a report telling you all this stuff. Well, at the end of the day, guess what? The machine can do none of the things promised. It's a complete, it's the ultimate snake oil. It's just an incredibly fascinating story. Again, I encourage you, wherever you get your podcasts, just Google Elizabeth Holmes or Dropout. And the reason it's called Dropout is because she was so smart, she dropped out of college and built this incredibly fraudulent company. Some inside say she actually thought it worked, but I don't think so. China. Who'd have ever thought China has put a 3-hour weekly time limit on kids' video gaming. Now, we're in no way favor of the state telling us how we should raise our kids. But this does make sense. But it should be the parent enforcing it, not the state. Kids under 18 years old in China will now only be allowed 1 hour of gaming from 8 to 9 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The government hopes to cure or curb gaming addiction. Now, China, you know, the folks that brought us TikTok and so many other things, are putting imagine telling your kid they can only play video games 3 hours a week. Now, my wife and I, we thought we were incredibly strict because we limited video gaming to weekends, but they could have more than 3 hours. And we also used it as a carrot, not a stick. In other words, throughout the week, every now and then, as a special treat for doing a good job at something, getting a good grade, they might be given a half hour of video gaming time during the week. But primarily it was the weekends. I mean, think about it. Maybe most of you in this audience, maybe you have more grandkids than you do kids. Try taking away that handheld device and tell them they can only get their hands on it 3 hours a week. Boy, will you see a riot. Amazon's future is in flux under new CEO Andy Jassy. A slew of executives reshuffle and departures followed Jassy's rise to power. And AWS, that's Amazon's Web Services, remember I told you about 70% of all web traffic passes through an Amazon web server somewhere on its journey. AWS is the Amazon main profit engine, and it is where they're seeing the most turmoil. SpaceX has sent some avocados, some ants, some shrimp, and a robotic arm to the International Space Station. I know. Are we making a salad here? Avocados. Let's see. Hang on. Yeah. Avocados, ants, shrimp, and a robotic arm. And there was ice cream. The ants and the shrimp, however, are being used for experiments. The digital fitness industry is showing no signs of slowing down. Increasing vaccination rates have jump-started local economies and allowed gyms to reopen, but at-home exercise is likely to become routine, with brands like Peloton, Tonal, and Mirror leading the charge. Looks like the new Apple iPhone is going to be notchless. Now, apparently that's big news. I'm just trying to figure out where the notch is. I have an older model which still has a home button, and I still have to, well, I don't have to, but I can plug in my headphones, which reminds me I should plug in my charger right now before it goes dead. Tesla has started shipping updated Model S sedans with its unique steering yoke. It's like a steering wheel, but it's rectangular. How long would it take to get used to that? Microsoft only lost a handful of key execs this year, but gained others. The company lost 8 top executives in 2021, but also acquired some major power players like Amazon's cloud exec Charlie Bell. And Mark Benioff built a dream team to run Salesforce when he leaves, but nobody thinks he's going anywhere soon. Salesforce is a huge, huge company. If it's not something you're following or have an interest in, you should just look at their business model. It's pretty fascinating. All right, let me give you the recap. I simply need to copy it from here, paste it over here, format it for this screen, And I gotta say, it's been a bumpy week. Whenever we're at the top, putting in new all-time historic highs, we don't get a lot of follow-through. And boy, does that show up in the results. Yes, it does. And this is how it looks so far this week. We're in week 161 of Logic 247. Over 8,000 individual alerts. These alerts are based on current price action. They come out around the clock 24/7. We cover the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ, crude, gold, silver. Since Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued 27 alerts, 5 never triggered. We're still waiting on the results of 6. So that's 16 actionable alerts, of which 4, or 25%, would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible using market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our traders. Now again, those are based on current price action. Our original alert service is based on historic price action, the concierge trade alerts. They come out shortly after the Globex open each evening. There's 2 numbers for each market. If price starts trending up to 45.37, that's bullish, so our strategy will look for opportunities to be long or buy the market. You'll use what you learn in the live training room to yourself find opportunities to buy the market and be long. If price starts trending down towards 45.18, that's bearish, which means our strategy will be looking for opportunities to sell the market or be short, and you'll use what you've learned in the live training room to do the same. Now, these are based on historic price action. Logic is based on current price action, but the 2 work hand in hand to help you find high probability, low risk trade opportunities. So let's go to a daily chart of the S&P, where we get to do what? That's right. Once again, we have the distinct pleasure. I thought it was distinct. Why is it lighting up? What? See, that's not right because that moves the whole thing. I don't want to do that. Let me go down here. Go back to November 2nd. I don't think it'll take me back that far. Maybe it will. That's not going to work. Okay, let's do this. At ES. Okay. You can see the low put in October 30th, the climb began November 2nd. So let's do this, because we need that to be correct. Let's see if we can get it all on the same screen. Almost there. Alright, I'm just going to get rid of all this for the moment. So that I can actually see the price. We'll get there. right year. Do tell. What have I done? Okay. That's the new all-time historic high. We got that. Maybe if I get in the right year. That'll probably help a lot. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to see the whole doggone shooting match. What I'm looking for is April 20th. We're in the year of 2021. Okay, we're drawing from this leg, right? That's September 30th. That's November 2nd. So, because of this little double bottom here, and we could have drawn this thing from here. And I'm going to actually revisit that a little bit later. But we're going to stick with what we've been doing. Okay, let's see if we can get rid of these old ones. You know what, let's just clear the whole thing out. You know what? I'm going to draw from here. We calculated off of that October 30 low for a very long time, but this bull market has gone on for so long. I just want to see what this looks like. Alright, now let's open it up so we can actually see it. Now, in doing that, that puts the all-time. Well, now we need to get on the right contract. Okay, so the new all-time historic intraday high, 45, 42 and a quarter. Obviously, this is that last leg up. Now, let's see. It's not going to take us all the way back. All right, I'll fix that later because I got to go back to the continuous contract. So, but the 24% fib is right just below 4,000. But what we're interested in right here today for these purposes, the last leg up. From the low put in August 19th to the high put in August 31st, today. The 24% fib is right here at 44.98/99. So if this turns out to be a top, we've got a daily doji going on. If price starts to decline, low of the day, you should jot that down. That's major support, 45.12.5. And then the step line is roughly 45.05. Blue and climbing is at 44.93. And the 24% fib is at 44.97/98. Jot those numbers down because there's information here on the daily chart that you can't see on the smaller time frame, not on the 30, not on the 5, not on the range, okay? The larger the time frame, the more important the information it conveys. Okay. Now, let us go to our fib extension tool and go from this low to this high. It's not going to do it, is it? Nope. Okay. We did all this yesterday, but the more I do it, the more you see me do it, the better you get at doing it yourself. Okay? This low needs to be right there. Alright, so what do we got? The 24% Fibonacci price retracement of the last leg up is this number, 44.97/98. The 50% Fibonacci price extension, we've spiked it. That's our high of the day. Overhead, the 62% fib extension of the last leg up is 45.52. And above that, 46.09. You should write those numbers down too, because you can't see that on your smaller time frame chart. But knowing where major support and resistance is on whatever markets you're trading, it's very important. You might say, well, yeah, but I'm only trying to get 2 points a day, which is fine. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get 1 point away from one of these important numbers, support or resistance, and put on a trade and try to get 2 points, because that won't end well. So again, below us, now that I've put the fib extensions on, support below us is the 38% fib extension, then the low of the day, then the step line. And now here's an interesting one, because we've got the 24% fib retracement of the last leg up, and blue and climbing, and the 24% Fibonacci price extension, all coming together right here. Does that mean there's a high probability that price is going to retrace back into this area in an attempt to get one more leg up? I would say there's a very good possibility. So we want to watch potential support here, and then the low of the day. Again, the low of the day is 45.12.5. So from 45.12.5 down to 44.98, that's about a 15-point trade at $50 a point. So now take that information that you've noted, those important prices, important areas, and then go to your 30-minute chart. Okay, here we are. The vertical line separates the Monday session from the Tuesday session. The short CTA last night was 45.18. Now the CTA numbers, that's forward guidance for the entire session. So these numbers are good for the entire session. If you didn't grab a screenshot and you would like to, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Also, the weekly trading zones you see on my chart are now this week's current zones. Price trades from zone to zone to zone. It has since before we first published them. Michael and I traded them, and then we began to share them with members once they were properly vetted and we knew we had something. We've published the zone since December 14th of 2009. They provide our traders with fixed support and resistance for the entire week. In other words, once they're published, Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, they do not change. They are carved in stone for the entire week. The CTAs are carved in stone for the entire session. Price behaves around the CTAs very similarly to the way it does around the weekly trading zones. Once for a week, the other for a day. So the long trigger was 45.37. And all of our traders had this last night at 6:35 p.m. Eastern. Now these are the concierge alerts we're going over. The logic alerts, those come out around the clock 24/7. Those are based on current price action. The logic alerts or the concierge alerts are based on historic price action, but the two work hand in hand. Okay? So we opened last night over here, right here. Price moves up to red and falling. Resistance. That sends price looking for support, which it finds at the BBC. The pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. When price drops to the BBC, that's the green line, we expect it to hold until proven otherwise. And it consolidated for 1, 2, 3 hours. And then about 11 p.m. Eastern, buyers kicked it in gear. We ran up to the CTA trigger and we went right to the target. On every alert, whether it's logic or concierge, the final trade to target on a long is the weekly zone above, and on a short it's the weekly zone below. Okay, so we trigger at 45.37, we make it up to the zone at 42. So that's 5 S&P points at $50 a point. That's $250 per contract traded. When price finds resistance that it cannot overcome, whether it's a 1-minute chart or a monthly chart or anything in between, not just on the S&P, but the Dow, the Russell, the NQ, crude, gold, silver, all markets. When it can't overcome resistance, it's going to go look for support. Okay, it looked for support at the BBC, but it didn't find it. You see, this time it found support. This time it didn't. Well, gee, what do we do now? Well, most likely in the logic channel there were alerts taking you right down to this zone. Okay, once price gets below the BBC, see over here we're bullish because we're above the BBC. Over here we turn bearish because we're below the BBC. And when price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect it to be good support until proven otherwise. Just as we expected this to be resistance, and it was, we expected this to be support, and it was. We spiked it a little bit, but it held. Buyers drove us up. They couldn't get us quite to the VBC, which is a sign of weakness. And that was evident in the next candle as we traveled through the weekly zone, 20/21, and we triggered the CTA. Now this first trigger took us down 2 points. Price gets back above the trigger, comes down again. This time, the swing lows 45.12. We'll call it 13 for the simplicity of math. So that's 5 points, $50 a point. It's $250 per contract traded. Buyers came in, took us back to the VBC. When we pull up to the VBC, just as over here we expect support, right here we expect resistance. Price is now pinched between blue and climbing, which is bullish, and the VBC, which when approached from below we expect to be resistance. So buyers and sellers are going to have a little battle on their hands here. We will find out who's more committed to their positions, and I'm talking the big traders, the institutions, the funds, the deep pockets. Okay, if buyers are more committed, blue and climbing will continue to climb. We'll take out this swing high, but there's a but we had a bearish cross that led to an extended move to the downside. What does that mean? That means if buyers come in and start driving this thing up, expect this area to be resistance, at least on the first trip up. Now, if price can overcome this resistance, maybe on the second attempt or the third attempt, then we'll have a nice window of opportunity, which takes us up to the CTA. And if price glides through the CTA, then we expect the market to continue moving right up to the zone. Okay. Over here, why are we not currently shorting this? Well, because we've got blue and climbing below us, and we expect, just as this move up, red and falling acted as resistance. As price comes down, we expect blue and climbing to potentially be good support. Now, can't price just trade right through that? It can. But if it does, you don't have enough room to run to put in a trade in that area, because the zone is 20/21. So if you're going to trade this to the short side, you're going to need to wait until we get back to the short CTA trigger, or possibly even trading below that low. That gives you a window of opportunity. It looks a little something like that. 45.10 down to about 44.95, 15 points. So we had two-sided action on the S&P. Nice trade up to resistance to the target. This was the published entry, the published target. We literally told every one of our traders last night, you should really consider being long at 45.37, and you really should consider taking your profit at 45.42. If you followed that simple set of instructions, then you had a trade worth $250 per contract. If you've earned the right to trade 2 contracts, it's worth $500. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that's a $2,500 move. Now, that part is just a function of math. 1 contract, 2 points, $100. 10 contracts, 2 points, $1,000. Okay, that's a function of math. It has nothing to do specifically with our methodology or strategy. You should not start trading 10 contracts though when you become a passport holder. You need to show up in class, trade along with Michael and Val in your demo account. in your simulator, because you got to learn the strategy, you got to learn the methodology, you got to learn how to read the indicators. How do you know you figured it out? I don't know. Do we ever all figure it out? But what we want you to do is to put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less. Once you accomplish that, our 24/20 blueprint gives you the green light to go live with one contract. Now you're going to trade one contract until you increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you increase your account balance by $2,000, you'll get the green light to add a second contract. But the beauty of the second contract is you're adding it with profit you earned in the market. The first contract is underwritten or financed by your startup capital. But the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, every contract you trade going forward is underwritten or financed with profit you earned in the market. If the blueprint tells you it's time to add another contract and you don't have profit available in your account to add the additional contract, don't add. Instead, book a mentoring session, a one-on-one mentoring session, so that myself, Michael, Valerie, Bert, one of us, all of us, can help you figure out why it is you don't have the profit available to underwrite adding an additional contract. Very important, okay? It's very tempting to fund an account and just start clicking the mouse, making the big bucks, trading 5, 10 contracts. Don't do it, okay? Many have come before you and tried that and failed, right? The probability is not in your favor. Be patient, exercise self-discipline. Only add one at a time when the blueprint tells you it's time, and only add it with profit you earned in the market. The Dow. CTA on the long side triggered and ran up to 492. So from 480 to 492, that's 12 points, $5 a point, $60 per contract traded. On the short side, now you'll notice price was trying to get to the zone. Price is always trying to get to a zone, either the zone above or the zone below. If price is above the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone overhead. Once price gets below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. And so, we see what happened on the long side, 12 points, $5 a point, $60 per contract traded. Only one trigger. Down here, we triggered on the short side, and from 570, we went to 55. That's 15 points, and then we got back above the trigger, triggered again. Finally here, this consolidation, we put in finally a swing low at 35,349. So we'll call it 350, being conservative. It's 20 points, $5 a point, $100 per contract traded. That's when price got above the BBC, made a run at the zone overhead, didn't quite make it. Then we came back down to when price reaches resistance that it cannot overcome, it's going to turn around and go look for support, which it found at the BBC, but it was short-lived. Down we go. We hit the trigger, and from 370 we dropped to 346. That's 24 points, $5 a point. Then we get back above the trigger, and this time we make it all the way to the target and then some. From 370 to 320 would be 50, so this is a 55-point move at $5 a point. Then price got back above the trigger here. That's the short trigger, and we're really not interested in this trigger. because not all triggers are created equal, and we don't want to go short in the face of blue and climbing. Like right now, if we were to trigger right now, we would not enter this market until we traded below the low of that candle right there. In fact, I'll highlight that window of opportunity because it could come to pass. Now, we're at the BBC, so we expect that to be support. We expect blue and climbing to be support. However, if buyers back away, price will start to drop. It takes financial commitment for prices to rise. All it takes for price to fall is buyers to stop buying. True story. Now, if buyers do keep buying, okay, we've got the step line right here. So I don't want to get long right away because that's potential resistance. And then we got potential resistance right there. So why not wait for price to get up here where I have a little bit cleaner, higher probability window of opportunity. On the Russell, we did not trigger on the long side. We did not trigger on the short side. Price did come right down to the zone. When price drops to the zone, we expect it to be good support until proven otherwise. Price has now gotten back above the BBC. We've got blue and climbing. If we look left, we've got potential resistance here and then here. And so a little window of opportunity would be something like, oh, and you got this bearish cross, okay? That's important. In fact, that bearish cross, why did, price was climbing pretty nicely. Why did it stop? Look left, bearish cross. When a bearish cross leads to an extended move, when price revisits the area, expect it to be good resistance, as it was. Now we're approaching that same area. Okay, this is the second time. This time we didn't even get to it all the way. So this resistance came from that. If we get resistance again here, that's from that. If we can get through this area, then we know we've got potential resistance here. So this gives us a wee window to work with. 2280 up to 2284. There's potentially 4 points there. Or you can simply be patient and wait for this big window of opportunity up here. Okay, the last of the indices, the NQ. Here's the long side. The number was 15,637. And we traded up to 677. So that's 40 points at $20 a point. That's $800 per contract traded. The NQ pays $20 a point. Now on all of the logic alerts, there's an initial target. On every market, it's $100 per contract, except for the NQ. The initial target is $200 because the NQ is so volatile. So again, we went from 637 to 677. It's 40 points, $20 a point, $800 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that'd be an $8,000 move. But do not put the cart before the horse, because that's awkward for both the cart and the horse. It's just going to bring you misery. You're just going to blow up another account. You need to be patient. I know you need to make money right now, okay? But the best way to make money right now is to be patient. trade in sim, ask lots of questions, show up for class, ask questions in the Telegram channel. You know, get to know the people in the Telegram channel. Get to know your fellow traders. There's no competition here. We're all on the same team, and everybody tries to help each other. We're all on our own personal journey up Trader Mountain, but we're all on the same mountain. But each one of us is at a different point in our journey. Okay. Some been with us for days, some been with us for weeks, some months, some years. Okay. In the discussion group, you will meet some of the finest people on planet Earth. You'll definitely meet some of the finest traders, friendliest traders, helpful, hopeful, brothers and sisters in Christ. It's a good place. So many of these trading forums and chat rooms can be vile, ugly, degrading places. Not our place. By the grace of God, we have peace in the valley. There's always somebody there willing to offer a lending hand, a hope, a prayer. If you have a need, now I'm not talking about panhandling. I'm just talking about if you need help in this business of learning how to trade. Not only do Michael, Valerie, and Bert and I provide, unlimited one-on-one mentoring, plus 2 hours of trading in the morning, plus this show in the afternoon, plus the Thursday night workshop. The discussion group is open 24/7. You can ask questions and find help in there literally around the clock. Okay? So we know we had an $80 trigger on the upside. I'm sorry, an $800 per contract trigger on the upside. And the number for the NQ was 15,525. Came right down to it, got rejected, ran the other way. Is that magic? No. It's math. And it's also a business based on probabilities. Don't ever try to make it about anything more than that. Mark Douglas says once you understand with your heart that it's a business based on probabilities, then all you need is a definable edge. He said the definition of perfection in trading is to know what to do, when to do it, and then do it. Trading's not easy, but it can be that simple. Now, we don't profess to know what's going to happen next. I know some people do, but we don't. We answer to a higher authority. The high probability move is that this candle is going to continue to drop. It will potentially find support at blue and climbing, and then we know that it may find good support at the weekly trading zone, even though we've already spiked it once. So while we don't know with certainty what will happen next, we always know with certainty what the next high probability move is. And because we know what the next high probability move is and what can happen, we don't want any part of this. And then you see these swing lows. I would not want to get short ahead of the CTA. In fact, I would want price to get below the CTA in this case and trade this window down here. Something like 15, we'll call it 15,500 to 15,490. That's 10 points, $20 a point. It's $200 per contract traded. Okay, that covers all of the indices, the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ. Here's crude. No trigger on the long side. We did trigger on the short side, and price ran where? Right to the target. The first trip down, we got rejected at the CTA. And the second time we came down, we triggered 68.70. The target is on a short. It's all, the final trade to target is always the weekly trading zone below on a short. And so from 70 to 40 is 30, but the zone is actually 68.40/45. So I guess that would make that $250 per contract traded. Then price got back above the trigger. We still have red and falling, and so it hands us the same trade all over again, another $250 per contract traded. And then price did the exact same thing, but this time there's blue and climbing in the picture, which is potential support. So excellent opportunity here, excellent opportunity here, opportunity but not excellent here, even though it did what we would expect it to do, and that's go from the trigger to the target. We pass on this because of blue and climbing. Okay. All right, two more markets, gold and silver. Looks like silver triggered just barely on the short side. This vertical line, this is where the market opened. That's Monday. This is Tuesday. The swing low was 1803.40. And 1805 was the number. 1805. It's $160 per contract traded. From 1805 to 1803.40. A $1 move, or 1 point in gold, is worth $100. So from 1805 to 1803.40, that's $160 per contract traded. And the last market, silver. Looks like we triggered on the long side. The long side was 24.14. And we ran up to 24.27. So 13 points, 2 pennies is $100. On the short side here, short side was 24.03. The swing low right here was 24.01, exactly 2 pennies. And then after we make this move to the upside, which took us from 24.14, as we said, up to 24.26. Then we come down, we trigger on the short side from 24.03 down to 23.90. Then we get back above the trigger, do it again. This time we make it to the target. The target's 23.82/83. So from 24.03 to 23.83. So for those of you that trade the silver, good job. This bell is for you. Brings us back to the daily chart, where we're now sitting right on top of that 38% Fibonacci price extension. Remember, if we take out the low of the day, major support, the low of yesterday is 4,500.75. And then we have the 24% fib and the 24% Fibonacci price extension, and the step line and blue and climbing. And that's why I put this circle here. This is an important support area. Okay? But the market has to overcome some obstacles first. It's got to get below the low of the day. at 45.12 and a half. And we're approaching the CTA trigger. Low of the day is right here, 45.12 and a half. Now, could you trade 45.16 to 45.14? You could. In fact, let me take a look at the alerts here. Alert number 8226, ESU 21, sell 45.16, target 45.14, potential support 45.13, potential support then 45.10, and then potential support 45.03. And then the weekly trading zone 44.93 slash 44.94. Okay, it's in that channel, and it's in that channel, and this is what it looks like. Every one of our traders and everyone on a trial just got the trade. S&P, consider being short, 45.16, initial target, $100 per contract, 45.14. Then there's the potential for support at 45.13, so that's target number 2. Then target number 3, target number 4, and then the final trade 2 target. 44.93/94, and this is alert number 8,226 over the last 161 weeks, where on average 20% of all logic alerts do get stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible, using market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our traders. Last week, let's see how we fared last week. Let me scroll up here. There we go. Last week was week 160. We issued a total of 67 alerts. 2 carried over to this week. So we had 53 actionable alerts, of which 9 or 17% would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, but less when possible, using market structure and that simple 3-step process we teach all of our traders. So that's gonna do it for today, as we watch to see who's more committed, buyers or sellers. We're building a red daily candle that tells us that right now the sellers are in control. They got the ball. Let's see how far they can take it down the field. And time now for our good word for the day. Yesterday we talked about throwing them out. Today we'll talk about the rewards of kindness, two completely different things. Genesis 24:19. I will draw water for your camels also. The ESV translation. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking. And if you know anything about camels, they can drink a lot. One day, Abraham sent his servant, Eliezer, to find a wife for his son Isaac. Standing by a small town well, Eliezer basically prayed. You'll find this in Genesis 24:19. Let the woman who offers to water my camels be the one you have chosen for me. And suddenly, poof, Rebecca showed up and said these words, I will draw water for your camels also. We always want God to speak to us, but sometimes God doesn't speak to us the way we think he's going to speak to us. There's not a mysterious voice that booms out of the heavens that sounds like Charlton Heston. Sometimes it's a woman at a well. When you're praying about something, look for God and his answer everywhere. Now, don't be like some Christians and just start making stuff up. I always use the same example, but it kind of makes the point. Okay, if it's Testimony Sunday or Wednesday at your church and everybody's supposed to stand up and give a testimony, and so some very nice, well-meaning lady gets up, starts doing the happy dance. She's so excited. I went to my... I didn't have any groceries, and I went to my mailbox today. Hey, there was a check for $800. Okay, let's see. Today's the 3rd of the month. Do you get a Social Security check every month on the 3rd of the month? Yeah. But you see, in her eyes, though, it was still a miracle because the cupboard was empty and she needed the money that day. So I'm just saying, right? Okay. Don't degrade a true miracle by just making miracles out of everything. Or maybe I'm totally off the beam, and maybe we should see a miracle in every little thing. I'll have to think and pray about that. Now, Rebecca, the woman at the well, had no idea that Eliezer would change her life. She didn't know that her act of kindness would open the door to great blessings. In the Old Testament, it was customary to offer water to a stranger. It was actually called the law of hospitality. The Hebrews believed the words. These words are in Hebrews 13:2. Do not forget to entertain strangers, for by doing so, some have unwittingly entertained angels. Think about it. When you sit across the table from somebody or somebody knocks at your door, he may be dressed up like a solar salesman or the local Avon representative, but they might not be. We never really know. Now, do we? When God rains miracles upon our life, typically buckets of cash don't drop from the sky. It might knock you out. If you're praying for a financial blessing, it can come in any number of ways. But again, it probably won't be $100 bills just dropping out of the sky. So that's why it's so important. Well, it's important for other reasons, but we should treat everyone we meet, even if we disagree. The reason we're meeting is because we disagree. We should treat every person with dignity and respect. So important. So Hebrews 13:2, do not forget to entertain strangers, for by doing so some have unwittingly entertained angels. But who on earth offers to water thirsty camels? One camel can drink 150 liters. Eliezer had 10 camels. That's 1,500 liters of water. A bucket of water is pretty heavy. Don't remember, you got to pull it up, and then you got to carry it and put it down so the camel can drink. Now, they say that would have taken Rebecca about half a day in the hot sun. But Rebecca was generous to a stranger seeking nothing but the joy of serving. She wasn't looking for a tip or a payoff. She was being a servant. She had a servant's heart. Now, what Rebecca didn't know was that these very camels would transport her back to Isaac, make her his bride, shower her with great wealth, and put her in the very lineage of Christ. Let me remind you how this story started. One day Abraham sent his servant Eliezer to find a wife for his son Isaac. Okay, just a little refresher on how this story starts. So, here's the point of the day. If you want to succeed, show up on time, stay focused, work hard, and be a problem solver instead of a problem causer. Live by Christ saying, Matthew 5:41, go the extra mile. The key to success in life is in doing not only what is expected, but in doing a little more. Yes, camels are obnoxious and ugly, but out of that ugly out of that ugly situation came the most beautiful thing that ever happened to Rebecca. We all need to have that servant's heart. We give because it's good. We give because we can. We don't expect anything in return. For if we do the Lord's work, the Lord will take care of his own. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.